Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just want to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of those people, thanks so much for coming back. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. But for everyone else out there who's new to the show, welcome. Feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. The table's a little empty right now, but it's a Sunday afternoon. I'm trying to stay out of trouble if you don't mind. Had quite the weekend. Anyways, less about me, more about y'all. I'm sitting here today with some of Pittsburgh's finest, the one and only, a kid called God. Make some noise for the internet.
Yes, sir.
Skirt.
Thank you for having us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
What's up, gentlemen? How you doing today?
We vibing. We liking this aesthetic, man.
That was really a dope intro. I felt like you were like going to spit a 6. I felt like you spit a 16.
Yeah, that was, a little bit of a spoken word
he's
vibe,
rapping right now.
Yeah. I have a cadence and a rhythm to it now. I've done it so many times. This is probably episode, if I have to guess, maybe episode 343 or 344.
So it's like
so I've done this shit a lot of times.
Yeah, professional.
Professional.
So, introduce yourselves individually, and let's talk a little bit about what you guys do.
Yes, sir. I'm baby Byron, one half a kid called God,
And I'm Snefru, one half of a kid called God. You already know what it is, man. Skirt.
So, musicians living in the Pittsburgh area. Let's start at the start. Let's get the boring questions out of the way.
Right.
How long you been doing it, and why'd you want to start doing this hip hop?
Right. You want to take that one? Let's go with that one.
Well, I don't know. I've been doing music for a while. Me and B, we knew each other since elementary school. But we would rarely see each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, for some strange reason, I would always see him like 3 years. There was like a 3-year gap. Like, I seen him in elementary school. We was chilling. I didn't see him again until high school. And then I didn't see him again till 3 years after that. And we bumped into each other. We were both working security jobs. And
facts. People don't believe that.
Facts.
Me with a security job.
We were both working security jobs. Yeah. And I was throwing parties in shit at Pitt. And I seen him one day and came across the street. I'm like, yo, bro, I'm doing this music at Pitt. I showed him a video I had. And he was like, dope. He was like, man, you know what I'm saying? Keep going, man. We should link, woo wap. And I didn't see him again for like 3 years. I didn't see him again till like 2016 at a friend's studio. And then we linked there. And then, I called him that night and was like, yo, bro, we heard each other's music. And I just was like, yo, man, we should do this. Like, we should do a group. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like, B's one of those people that if you just asked him, he'll do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? If he likes you and you just asked him, he'll do it. So he was like, cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? He did it. And we made our first mixtape, all thanks to drugs. And it's been on ever since then.
Yep. That's what's up. What about you, Byron? How'd you get started in all this hip hop shit?
I feel like I always was like involved with it just since it was like always around. It's the music of my childhood. It's always around. But I feel like what my first introduction was probably seeing him elementary. No, I ain't gonna say seeing him. It's a story. It's a story. I just feel like I should say it since we brought up elementary. We was in like the court. We was in like the outside where elementary where you go play dodgeball. Recess.
Yeah.
Boom. So the teacher keeps, coming to him telling him to stop doing something or some, I'm the gym teacher, somebody keeps, and I'm not seeing that first. Miss Silver. Yeah. So I had to see what he keeps doing. That got to everybody laughing. So I look and he was doing Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back. And he was dry humping the shit out of the air. He was like humping the shit out of it. So but anyway, I just seen him just be a performer, and I guess like seeing him do that, and then it was also hip hop. It was just my first introductions. It was always something funny, but to what he said, always came into seeing each other on and off throughout the years. Whether I'm a father. My oldest is 11, so I had like a lot of things going on. My personal life that I wasn't able to commit to nothing more than be a parent for real.
Yeah.
But as far as with music, to his point, yeah, usually if the type of person I am, you know, I like to help build things, you know, I like to be a part of things. But his music was just so different and so, you know, unique that I thought it was just dope that it was also a good idea to try. You know what I mean?
No doubt. I think that there's something that it's harder to do in hip hop. And what I'm talking about is just actually like collaborate and learn to work with other people. Like you got a rock band, you know, there's 5-6 motherfuckers that all learn and how to vibe off each other and they become better together
from time to time.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But a lot of times in hip hop, outside of like a feature here and there, a lot of times you don't really get to work with somebody else on like a lot of material. And I feel like it makes you grow and learn more as an artist when you're working,
definitely.
you know,
right.
exclusively with other people
too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So would you say that, you know, the two of you working together, it put you outside of your comfort zone? You learned how to do some things and maybe just think about writing differently than you were when you were doing stuff individually?
I think that being in a group, it definitely accelerated my work regimen, because I never recorded this much music solo. You know, but you know, like I said, when we're in a group, you know, we have an advantage over a lot of artists because we can record songs just more, we can record more songs faster. Like I could go to the studio and do 10 songs. He can go to the studio and do 10 songs. And then we have 20 songs that we have done. Like, you know, all we got to do is just finish each other's leads. And then we have 20 songs in 2 sessions. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if we were just solo artists, for us to do 20 songs a piece would probably take a little bit more time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, we're at a point, you know, we always, since we did AKCG, we always kept ourselves at a high working regiment of pushing the limit. You know what I mean? Cause that's what AKCG is for me. It's a school that I was able to learn. Cause I didn't do certain songs solo. You know, I didn't do experimental songs, singing songs, certain songs like that. You know what I mean? I did boom bap and a little bit of like some pop stuff, but more so boom bap rap. So this was like an opportunity for me to like grow. And the benefits that came from it was really, really cool. So
that's what's up. So now, you know, we're in 2020 and the past decade has been some of the craziest in terms of the evolution of what hip hop and rap and R&B, everything in that spectrum. It has changed so much in such a short period of time. And I'm curious about, you know, what your thoughts are on that. Cause I imagine both of you probably got your start well over a decade ago, just whether it was actually recording or just fucking around, but you grew up through this change, you know, and there are some people that feel strongly about, you know, the way music is today. And some people were like, I'm down for whatever. I'm just happy to see it growing. What did the two of you feel about the culture in 2020?
Man, you know, if I'm gonna keep it real, I feel like if we're just talking about hip hop generally, hip hop is gonna always have that commentary there. You know what I mean? At least from me being of a different generation, just looking back, you know, on my you know, predecessors or whatever, I learned that, you know, it was always nah, this isn't music, or it's like a reoccurring thing. You know what I mean? Because they said it started in like the parties and, you know, in the alleys and the club, you know, in the hood for real. So whatever the hood's gonna make is, you know, is generally what hip hop's gonna eventually transcend to, even if it gets commercialized, watered down, whatever they could put a, you know, name on it. And the hood people like to be flashy too. You know what I mean? If that's what, you know what I mean? People like to go out on Saturday, whether or not, you know what I mean?
There's people that, you know, have arguably air quote made it, but they still rep their hoods. They, whether they're actually living there or not, you know, there's there's a like something that's like, they romanticize it in a way.
Right, yeah.
And I think what's cool about AKCG is that a lot of people don't even think we're from Pittsburgh. Like, that's very like a funny thing that's been
musically
attached to us since we've been doing music. You know what I mean? Because our sonics has been really different. You know what I mean? And I like to break Pittsburgh down. How Pittsburgh works musically in the scene here. I don't think people really understand like the different layers and the different pockets of like society and musicianship that exists here. So it kind of works like this, like, you know, the top, like on the top level, you have like the trap artists, you know what I mean? That, you know, they're probably the most known or the most celebrated in the city. You know, you drive in, you might hear them on the radio, and, you know, you might see them first, you know what I mean? And then they party at some of the same spots. They maybe at the Galaxy, the O1, they're at the Trappers, they're at certain spots.
Right.
And then under them, you have like where you would say probably me and B are, where we're with the skateboarders and the smokers. So, you know, we're chilling at One Up Skate Shop or Outcast Skate Shop, or you know, we're at the spot on the south side. And like we know all the other musicians like that. And then under us, you have like, you know, people that are just known for just rapping and ciphers, and they're partying at, you know, Boom Concepts, Level Up, you know, spots like that. And then, you know, you got the conscious people that are doing their thing. So it's just like, you know, what makes AKCG so unique is that we actually represent all of those levels of artistry. You know what I'm saying? We represent the street shit, we represent the artist shit, and it's together. You know what I mean? And I think that how we kind of paint our narrative visually, it doesn't, people think that we're just not from here, but we actually have like I have a theater background. B has a small theater background. So we just grew up loving film too. So a lot of our videos are certain ways because, you know, we're big fans of, you know, different, you know, videographers and cinematographers that come up. So, you know, Pittsburgh's a great place to shoot films. That's why a lot of people come to Pittsburgh to do movies. And
they call it the second Hollywood.
Yeah, we wanted to take advantage of that and how we did our visuals. And I think that because of that, when we were released, people just thought that we weren't here, and we shoot in the hood or shoot at the park or shoot at the same places that they walk past like every day. You know what I mean? We shoot in alleyways. We shoot.
You know, and to your point too, the thing is with Pittsburgh rappers, they use the same location.
Sure.
They use the same.
Yeah, like I saw somebody use this, so I want to
like
shoot something
1,000
there.
times. So you'll see like the Overlook probably.
Well, the other thing too is a lot of these, like a lot of the people that are in different cultures, like a lot of like these bubbles, right? And like different, what it could be the hip hop scene, the rock scene, whatever. There's like one or two people that have a camera, so everybody's video looks the same in that bubble because they all work with the same people,
right?
And like a lot of people just don't have their own ideas, and it's like whatever, you know, like oh, you did so and so's video, I want one that looks like that, and they're like, all right, whatever.
Right.
Throw a couple stacks in my hand, and we'll just go to the same wall that we filmed this video at.
And that's pretty much what. That's pretty much it.
That's just how it is. That's just how it is. And if you go to any video person that ever worked with us, they'll tell you that like we push the limit. Like if you work with us and you're a videographer, like, you know, you're probably not going to shoot the same way you shot before. You know what I mean? Like even the people that have worked with us, like it, you know, that you see their work before working with us, and then their work while, you know, making the work that we've made together, it's different. And that's just because that's just because we push it to that standard.
We push it, but we also let them freestyle. We like to believe in like that creative collaboration. Because usually with like what you just said, people go to these directors with a copy and paste. Like, oh, I want my video to look like so and so.
Well, I guarantee you a lot of those people's music's probably copy and paste too. Everything about them probably is.
So it makes it easier for the for the director, you know, to do that.
Yeah.
So when I think about it, when they come to us or we go to them per se, let's say that, and when we do, I notice a lot of the times they just like the experience of shooting us because it's not always so serious. Even though we're serious, like real serious with it,
we have fun too.
We have fun.
If you're not having fun, why the fuck are you doing this?
That's true.
Life is way too stressful.
That's true. That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, I take it easy. I take it easy.
We do. No, and
that's real.
And I think that, you know, we don't come from, you know, we're real. That's when the artistry comes into play, bro. You know what I'm saying? We're not rich out here. You know what I'm saying? We're, you know, we had to make what we had look good. You know, we shoot outside a lot just because, you know, we can't afford the Warhol or the whatever. We would like to Warhol holla at us. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee you, Warhol, I guarantee you, if you holler at us, the consumership will go up. But
facts.
I think that you know, that we always do kind of push the limit, and you know, we want to, we haven't had huge budgets, so we had to make what we had work, whether if it's in a room or outside near a tree, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to make that look good as best as we can. So over time, just practicing that, we end up just getting better. There was a lot of videos that we shot that didn't make like the cut, but that made us better. So the things that you do see is just off of like a lot of trial and error. You know what I mean? A lot of trial and error. And, we just got better with this shit. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that there's a thing that a lot of people are just, they're afraid to fail, or they're afraid to fuck up, or they're afraid to waste their time. But an unfortunate situation in doing art is you're going to fail, you're going to fuck up. A lot of your time is going to get wasted.
That's right.
But it's better to have this failure so you have something to learn from. You fuck up the lighting in a video, and now you know not to do that again. And the next time you're doing something, you can correct it. Or if somebody's shooting a video, you could be like, no, you don't know what you're doing, because we did this before and it looked like shit. That goes with the same thing with recording too. Like, I always encourage artists to learn at least how to record themselves, so whenever they're working with an engineer, they know if they're being fucking bamboozled or not. Just understand how this stuff works a little bit.
Right.
Because like I produce, I rap, I record on my own stuff. I hate recording my own stuff just because I just kind of want somebody else to push record so I could just get lost. So, but I mean, there's been times when I've been recording with other people, like if I'm at somebody else's place doing a feature or something, and this dude sucks at recording, like.
Real. That's real. We always have that ourselves.
And we had, bro, when we did All Thanks to Drugs, people played us. Like, nobody was like, they liked it. Like, and it was crazy, bro. It was really crazy. And as an artist, especially coming from a fan base with me, where like I had like a small group of people kind of like fucking with my shit. And then
it was real. He had a fan base. Especially South Oakland.
We do a tape that's dope. I felt like that tape was super dope. Clean. Some of I was like, yo, this is like dope. And the video was dope, and we had fun doing it. So when we released it and people didn't see it the same way, it was a little disappointing and shocking to us, because we had so much of a good time doing it. And then I think that we end up eventually coming back around and being like, well, fuck that. Let's just go back into our own world. Let's just keep let's just keep having fun and doing what we were doing, because we really enjoyed it. And then we started getting reached out from like people from like overseas and people from the industry that wanted to reach out to us.
Shout out SoundCloud.
Yeah, SoundCloud really helped us out a lot.
Because on SoundCloud we released All Thanks to Drugs, like he said, and that was in 2017. And we released that on pretty much like 15 collaborative playlist on SoundCloud. And
all thanks to B. B's the tech guy. B's the guy. B's the guy you want to talk to with knowledge,
networking,
marketing, just everything online. Just everything online. Like how to reach a certain margin of people, how to get real consumership building with your content. That's one of the things that helped me with this whole thing, because I didn't know a lot about that. So working with B, helped me. Learn a lot about that, because I didn't know anything really about that for real. So that was dope. But go ahead, G.
Oh no, I appreciate that. Yeah, and so he said because nobody would do it for us, because we wanted results, but nobody would like kind of help us. And you know what I mean. Yeah. So that comes with a lot of trial and error, like he was saying. So he just kept putting them into these record pools, and the song Insomnia. Off All Thanks to Drugs was actually the one that shifted not only put us into the fuck it mood, but like really fuck it mood, because when we seen the reaction a lot of people was having like in like Amsterdam and like all these different places, because SoundCloud community is far, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're just reading the comments.
They were sending us fan art.
Yeah, like for
Switzerland and everything. I didn't think it was real.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was real, but it was real.
It was trippy, really, and it was like because they thought we were bigger than what we were, and or whatever, because of the way we made the way the beats we were rapping over, like how Pop Smoke raps over UK like kind of drill music. Yeah, I mean, we were rapping over a lot of producers from the SoundCloud community who had fan bases themselves.
Overseas. Like we were getting production from people that were making trap music in Russia.
So it sounds different.
It sounds that's why our stuff sounds different, because we had a lot of producers that we met online that were able to give us a sonic that wasn't so regional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, when we did our videos to the mute, that's why our videos look like that, because the music sounds like that. You know, it doesn't sound too regional, but it's so much inspired by our region. You know what I'm saying? So
that's real.
It's an interesting kind of dichotomy to that.
Fusion.
I think that there's something to be said about the way all this ties together. All right. We know we're talking about the Pittsburgh scene. We're talking about dropping things and it not connecting with people. We're talking about connecting with people overseas. It's not so much a Pittsburgh problem. I think it's an American problem where everybody that's in this culture is trying to be a rapper now. There's no just fans of music anymore. Everybody's doing their own thing. So whenever you release stuff, it's really hard to get people to give a shit because they're just trying to get their stuff out there.
Right.
Whereas overseas, I feel like there are still a lot more people that are actually for the culture and interested in learning about new music, you know?
That's real.
I feel like whenever I'm like releasing things and I'm showing stuff to people, it's like the majority of people that I know are doing their own shit. And I just feel like they're like, oh, well, he did that. So like, whatever, like that's cool.
And to your point, that's so ill because it's to go to what I was saying about the SoundCloud community, because the SoundCloud community is majority musicians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially there's not like, of course, a nice demographic can get on there for like listening to people, but it's, you know, SoundCloud is also limited in its content. You know what I mean? For mainstream music, I mean. So when you go there, it's like mostly producers. So most of our fan base originally started was from other artists and producers. So our support system came from the music community and from other pockets around the world.
Facts.
And their fans that like their beats funneled into us. So it was like a domino effect.
And we had to learn that because people now, I think even regionally, like are liking our music. Like even when I go out or I went to the protest and I had 3, 4 people come up to me like, yo, man, I seen your stuff. It's dope. It's da-da-da-da. And what I learned was that
means they identified them with a mask on. That's how you know the music's real.
And that's a really good point. And two, I think that what I learned in this whole process, because it's been hard. It's been a hard process, bro. Like it's been what it feels like is it feels like every time we like kind of build this like domino building, like it just falls and we gotta rebuild it up again. But I think that what I learned from this process, what I learned from this process was that if your shit comes out and people says it sucks, you're doing a good job.
Absolutely.
Because whatever's innovative or has a futuristic aspect to it, it's not supposed to be so easily accepted, because if people can identify what it is so easily, then it's probably not as innovative as you think it is. Yeah. So when people were saying they didn't understand what we were doing, that was really, I ended up learning that was more proof that, oh no, we're really doing what we need to be doing. You know what I mean? I because before I just thought that if you dropped it and people didn't say, man, I'm feeling that you really weren't doing anything spot on, but it's really the opposite, you know?
Yeah, in a lot of cases. You look at all the top 10 rappers now, or just in history.
Oh, they all have haters.
Eminem, to start with him.
Yeah.
Technically was not supposed to make it to be Eminem. Right? And the people say, I just can't see this working. You know what I mean? Then, so on with Drake, I can't see this working.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne from transitional to, you know, I can't see it working. Kanye, you know what I mean? It goes on. And then their stories is deep.
And that's why I think like, the Wiz Khalifa story is so amazing, because when he came out, I don't think anybody really was like, man, like I see him going for, you know what I mean? He had to make a lot of people believers because he was rapping on beats that were different. He was doing a lot of things that were different. So it's like, you know, from Pittsburgh, we come from like having to prove ourselves. Even Mac, like, you know.
Yeah, shout out Mac.
Mac, you know.
Facts.
People were sleeping on Mac and Mac came out and really had to prove himself. You know what I mean? He had some of the best musicians around him, and you don't just get that. You know, you can't just buy that. Like,
well, the other thing too is he was a phenomenal musician himself.
Exactly,
and he could actually spit too.
He could rap.
Actually, before we leave here, can you play? It's not a spitting song, but Knock Knock. You know that joint. Gotta play that for my man.
Was wavy.
Yeah, play that for my man as an RIP because that joint's a good wake up song.
He was doing his thing, man.
And that's vintage Mac. That's vintage Mac.
Yeah, there's two points I want to bring up. The one being about people not feeling your shit. And I've always been a very strong believer. Like whenever I upload a video, if I upload a track on YouTube or something and I get like one shitty comment, I'm like, all right, good, let's go. Let's keep it going. Just because I know like the worst thing in the world is to release something and have nobody say nothing at all. Like your shit is so boring that nobody even wants to say they hate it or they like it. Like I'd rather somebody tell, like, if I can make somebody upset enough that they leave a comment like this sucks, I'm like, all right, there's gonna be somebody else that loves this. I guarantee you.
Well, that's real. That's
I
real.
mean, it's like,
you know, one thing he told me one time was just the realest. It was a long time ago. He told me this, but it was like, if you pay attention to what people promote faster, it's like you made a caption saying nicest or hottest verse or he killed it or something complimentary or whatever. People's gonna be like, I'm probably not gonna play it. But you say it's gonna be trash, or if you put that as the title, or you say it's gonna be funny or something along those lines, or it's a joke, or he's garbage. If you just make it like he's just whatever terrible, people will click on him more.
Yo, that's like America's Got Talent. Nobody watches that show to see people sing good.
I definitely do not. I definitely do not.
Exactly. Everybody loves a train wreck.
I used to just watch it for Paula Abdul.
Straight up.
Shout out Paula.
Yo, that's so funny. But but that's the thing is there's been plenty of artists that I've heard were like, oh, this is terrible, horrible. And then I listened to it. I'm like, I'm actually fucking with this.
Let's do an experiment. Put like $50 on an Instagram ad with that caption. Just to make it seem like it's the worst. And then have a continue watch or push it and see what happens.
It's going
I promise you, people will make that run up the numbers. I promise you. It's almost proven.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. People gravitate towards negativity in any opportunity.
They want to point to just say they like to look for imperfections.
Yes. Nobody likes when things are going well.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I kind of like Kanye's process. You know what I'm saying, as far as like his creative process, because he's able to show us like what the real process looks like. Like, you know, because
sometimes it's a little too much.
It is. I think, but I think
you can tell
he needs to keep some things to
himself. Yeah, sometimes he's like, you need a publicist.
He does, but conceptually, that's what it really looks like. Because usually, as an artist, your finished product comes out when it's perfect. He actually shows you like, oh no, you could be a genius and still be off. Yeah. Because that's what great artists do. Like, to get to that good point, you're probably off a lot. I think he just shows more that he's off.
I think we pay attention more to him being off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows how elevated he is, that he could be that off the chain and people were still like, all right. Like, people won't fuck with him for a couple days, and then he puts out a song. They're like, all right, whatever. What did he do last week? I forgot. I don't care.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He's like Mace. He's like Mace. He's like Mace. He can come and go when he wants.
The other thing,
Mace is the only rapper that can do that.
Yeah, that's real.
The other thing I wanted to bring up that we were talking about, especially with Wiz Khalifa and Mac, is the power of having a team behind you. And I think the thing with both of them is that they just had phenomenal people behind them that really, for whatever reason, gave a shit about what they were doing. I mean, they were good at what they did. That's why they gave a shit about it. But, you know, they picked them and they just pushed them and it worked. That's that's the other thing that's super interesting to me about a lot of people in the hip hop world versus the rock world. Because I also play in a rock band and it's pretty separated from my life in the hip hop world. Okay. But the way rock bands operate and the way a lot of people in the hip hop world operate are so different because you'll have, you know, like a solo artist or maybe like a duo, and then you'll have a manager and you'll have people around and you'll have like somebody, sometimes somebody that's in charge of your Instagram, someone that's in charge of making sure, you know, you guys look good in videos, cinematographers, all, you know, like teams. Yeah. Every rapper that I usually have on this show has a team with them. But rock bands, it's like 4 or 5 dudes and just like, oh, well, you know, we're figuring it out. Like, whatever. Like they don't think about the publicist. They don't think about the manager. If they do, you know, some do, but it's so much more common. And I'm curious, like, where you're coming from in terms of this? Does it just seem like it's something that you absolutely have to do for you, is to have these things? Is it like not even a question?
In regards to what, like having
to taking it to the next step? Because there's a lot of rock bands that feel like they don't need it. But do you feel like you could do this 100% independently?
And I just want to add on, man, we started AKCG. You know, we have a team now, and I'm sure as we start to grow, our team will grow. But we started from nothing, G. We started from the real trenches, you know, not eating, not sleeping, you know, sleeping on floors, couches, living with crazy people to just pay for studio time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and eventually, you know, people came on. And I remember B telling me like, man, I'm gonna get, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get, you know what I'm saying? Like our brother Buck and, you know, Ham and other people in our team. And I remember thinking to myself, not, I didn't say it to him, but I remember thinking to myself, B, they're not going to be with us. This is too hard. What we're going through is too crazy. They would have to be a little wild to want to stick this thing out, because this takes a lot of digging deep. But they stayed down. You know what I mean? They stayed down and they helped, and they gave us a lot of like support. You know what I'm saying? So we could be able to do more things. And now, the things that we wanted to have that we didn't have before, now like we have those things. We don't have everything that, like, you know what I'm saying, we want, but they're coming to us. And that's what I learned about, I think, this process, especially from B, is that like we don't want it fast. You know what I mean? We don't want it fast. Like, you know, as slow as it needs to be, it's not going nowhere when we get it. You know what I mean? I've heard a lot of people say, oh man, you guys should be doing, you know, these concerts, and you guys are so good. And it's just like, we're going there. Yeah. We're going. We're not in a rush. We're going.
We also just like to do it. That's in a nutshell. We also just like to do it. If you know what I mean, at the end of the day. Yeah. Just like hip hop. So.
A lot of people just have, especially people that aren't in it, you know, just friends, family, people that, you know, they have no idea like the level of bullshit that we have to go through, even just to get on, you know, some little show at a skate shop.
No,
you know, it's,
oh man,
like organizing that stuff is crazy. Yeah, and a lot of people just don't. I mean, I wish that this world worked the way that they thought it did, but it doesn't. But it's a survival of the fittest thing. And I think that the thing it seems that you two have that a lot of people don't is just like a genuine passion for it. Like, you actually give a fuck about what you're doing. And whenever people are asking me about like, yo, like, I want to start making beats. I want to start a podcast. I want to paint. I want, you know, whatever. Like, you got some tips. I'm like, do you give a fuck? Like, really? Do you? Like, if you really gave a fuck, you wouldn't have to ask me what you need to do. You would just be doing it.
Facts. So, like somebody said, like the most cliche shit is, would you do it if you didn't get paid for it? And I think
hell yeah.
I think rap is I think it's just one of those things. Like, even if I didn't get paid for it,
I mean, the other thing too is like, especially when you're starting out, you know, stage time is stage time. And you need that experience, especially in the world of hip hop, because, you know, rock bands can practice in a basement by themselves for, you know, a year straight.
Yeah.
You know, when's the last time you just stood down in the basement and rapped to yourself?
Right.
Do you practice ever? Or is stage time your practice? Is the studio your practice? If that's the only practice you got, you better be on a stage and in the studio as much as possible. Otherwise, you're not going to hone those chops.
I'm gonna let him answer this one because because you know why? Because I'm gonna tell you this.
Listen, no, go ahead. All
right, man. The reason why, you know, it's funny you said, because when I got with Ashe to do A Kid Called God, I never did a show before. You know, if I did do a show, I wasn't a performer. I might have just been on stage with, you know, the crew. I might have been just add on. Yeah. For aesthetics, because that's part of hip hop. Entourage. But so when I got with him, he was showing me so much about performing that I thought was just like, I just never thought about it. Because, you know, when you watch it, it just looks so easy. Like, yeah, I mean, for real, it just looks like, you know, anybody can do it. Lungs, also focus.
Yeah, definitely.
Focus is one of the biggest things, because like, it's not even the fact, like, even if you don't have stage fright, even if it's not that, but focus to, matter of fact, to pay attention that you're juggling your words, your body language, and making sure that you're in acquaintance with the mic, not getting it, bad. There's so much going on at one time that probably a consumer is not thinking.
Controlling the crowd.
Yeah, and if you got a chord, like, I mean, there's so much things that people aren't considering when you do a live show. So these are things that we used to do in his prep for, even in a living room, at his crib, at his apartment back in the G, or, wherever we'd be at. Like, if we in an alleyway after doing a video shoot. You know what I'm saying? We grab phones and we'd be doing stuff. Like outside of he said earlier in the interview, he said about Nels, the dude that we linked up with. We did a whole concert, me and him, in the parking lot. Me, him, and a couple of just to get through the songs, to know what we. So he's always performing, and then us being in a group goes back to what we were saying earlier. You're always, in a way, performing because you're always trying to do whatever. And in me performing, I've been performing since I was 14, but it's different if you solo. But I'm in a group with him, and B's a little bigger. He's bigger than me, so if we don't have strays, if we bumping into each other, I'm flying. He's over here, you know what I'm saying? I can't. We gotta be coordinated. But that was easy. That was easy. He took a direction really well.
Yeah,
and
you just have to
really quick.
You just gotta think about it and do it and hone it. The more practice you get, the better you're gonna be. But it is very obvious.
I guess it depends on what your goal is too. Because I think what it is too is a lot of people don't know a rap show can also be the most watered down show too. For real. Meaning you could just come and let the music playing or whatever, and you can just be doing anything just because you're popular, because the song's good or whatever.
Yeah.
So these things are different than a band. You know what I mean?
And hip hop performers, I think, and this is one thing I think hip hop fans, or just fans that's coming to a show, they want to see a good show. What I'm saying? They don't want to, be told to put their hands in the air all night. You know what I'm saying? They want
to wave them.
Yeah, what?
He just.
They want to come to a good show, bro.
I have such a pet peeve with people that are always yo, come on, get up. Put your hands in the air. Make some
right.
Man, how desperate are you? Everyone's just annoyed right now.
Am
I performing or are you?
Yeah, we talk about Pittsburgh before we even get off this. Shout out to BB Guns, the rap group BB Guns. Because they came to one of our shows one time and just gave great advice. You know what I mean? About sharing group advice. When you're another group, and the advice that they give, and they do great shows. Yeah. So it was just something to that's another thing, Pittsburgh, we need to do more. Just small stuff like that.
I don't know. I think they may be on some sort of a hiatus or something. I don't know what those guys are doing. I haven't heard from them in a while. They're the guests that have been on this show more than any other people. They've been on the show 4 times.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
they're dope.
Homies.
Yeah, they're dope. Yeah.
But I don't know what they've been up to, but I don't blame them. Maybe. Hey, this is a good year for a mental break.
Quarantine,
pandemic. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? We were talking about damn. Brain farted. She brought up BB guns. I was like, shit, I haven't thought of them in a minute. But yeah, when you're on a stage and you're learning how to work with each other, it's really important, especially on this is what I was gonna say. It's even harder on our level because a lot of people that we're bringing out to shows, when you're telling them they're going to a show, they're probably thinking the last show they saw was, Drake at Console Energy Center or something, right?
Right,
you're bringing them to One Up Skate Shop.
Right.
So
exactly.
You don't got the lights and all the big production, you know what I mean?
No, that's real.
Drake could just stand in one spot and rap, and there's all these lights and shit, and this is a good show. The PA sounds great.
And then they got the big screen.
Yeah, but you're in you take them to some little club that has 1.5 working speakers with no lights. You better be good at controlling the crowd without that shit.
And you still gotta put on a dope ass show. You know what I mean?
It's possible.
Yeah, you still gotta come out and give everything. And to be honest, if the energy is coming from the performers, so it's hey, if they can see you and they can hear you properly, then that's all you need. You know what I'm saying? That's really all you need to put on a good show. Cause that's where it starts from. So, that's just my advice, to every artist that's coming out. It's just like, hey man, do your best to like, connect with the people and express yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
And the one thing I will add to that is that if it sounds bad, if you're not feeling it, if you're in a shitty mood, don't let the audience see that. Mm-hmm. Suck it up. Act like you're having fun. Keep the confidence, because as soon as that breaks and the people could tell that you're not feeling yourself, they're not going to feel you. And most people are not going to give you a second chance.
Yeah, never let them see you sweat. Never.
Yeah, that's the other problem too with being on this level. It's like every show you play, you're making first impressions because you're always playing in front of new people that really don't give a shit about you. No. You know what I mean? Generally, it's not like we're not Kanye. We can't
genuinely.
You can't walk out wearing some goofy hat and expect people to forgive you a couple days later. We're just not in that realm.
Right, not yet. Eventually we will be. He can come out in a bathrobe and gold chains and just rap and
it's coming.
On Good
coming.
Morning America.
It's coming.
You know what I mean? So until then, it's just jiggy, small little hole in the walls, and we cool with that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
because
cool.
you know what? That's like honestly where like most of like the real culture is. A lot of the time, those big shows, they're people that like listen to music like wallpaper, and which is cool, but it's just like, they have their top 10 Spotify artist playlist, and that's the only music that exists to them. Like if you're not on that playlist, you're not a real artist. So it's really hard to connect with those people.
And the people that are doing those big stadiums, I mean, they're doing them for a reason. Like they've probably done a lot of small shows, like, you know what I'm saying? And like booked, did a lot of like shows for people.
Yo, I played with Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller at the Irish Center. You know that building that's on the side of the Squirrel Hill fucking tunnels? Yeah, I played with Wiz Khalifa there.
Wavy. Wavy.
It's,
I mean, that was like 12 years ago, but it happened. So yeah, they do start out playing,
That's where, I mean, that's where if you want a real fan base, and you don't want to get signed and then that record doesn't pop, and then like it's bad, nobody's calling your phone, it's just because, the real fans still exist. And if you don't really have them, there's going to be a point where, if you're not Houdini, if you're not perfect, then like, you're going to need them. You're going to need them when you don't have that number one smash and you need that support. And if you don't have them, it's going to show.
Yeah. Chase the fan. Don't chase the fan, not the label. That's what a lot of artists, chase as many fans as you can and try to be as, personable as you can with whoever likes your music.
Yeah.
Whoever doesn't, just leave it alone.
There's no excuse right now to not try to remain as independent as you can, especially when it comes to labels, because most of the stuff that labels could offer artists, we all have here now, distribution, access to people. Most of the stuff with labels is just like, it's clout. So a lot of times if you're trying to email, a big blog or a big magazine, they're probably not going to open an email from you, but they might open emails from like a entertainment agency that they work with, that pays them money to open up their emails from their clients.
So that really goes back to money more than anything. It's a money factor.
If you have enough money, you can.
They open up doors.
And we've had the chance to meet, especially in the last year or so, some like cool people in the industry. You know what I mean? We had a meeting over at Warner earlier last year. We met some cool people, but we see the system too. We've seen a lot of artists. They come in those rooms and they meet with those A&Rs, and you know what I mean. They like, it's much more sometimes than just a meeting. You know what I mean? Like when we talk about gaining that consumership, because that's what they want to see. Because as much as independent as people want to be, that doesn't mean that you still don't do partnerships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can be independent, still own your publishers, still do what you do, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to partner with them for touring or partner with them for marketing.
Yeah, you need to. You can't manage all that stuff yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
And also to that point is a lot of things the artist community fails to realize is it is an industry. You know what I mean? It's a business. So
he's a he could teach a class on the music industry, but go ahead.
It's just something that you got to take into account, because I know I like to use this example a lot with Lil Uzi Vert. He had think EXO Tour Life did like made like $3 million. I'll just say paraphrase, estimate or whatever, $3 million, and he only made like 900,000 or something.
Seems about right.
So some people, it's something. A lot of people would laugh, and a lot of people would try to understand the math on that, or try to understand. But if you have a record company of 500 people to 300 to maybe even 30 people, let's just say 30 people, that has to do a job of a quarterly campaign to promote that project. How much would it cost to have them call radio stations, post for blogs, do the television networking for behind the scenes, or just track keeping for the record in general? These people don't need paid, is what the artist community kind of says. When you join a major company, if you want to be independent and be able to manage all these factors that you would like to be famous, because that's really what, if you want to be signed to a major, you want to be famous. That's just generally what it would be, because you could be rich, but you have to be rich with partners. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can't expect 80% of the pie if you didn't come with 80% of the money. You came with the talent, you came with the product. It'd be like saying, okay, you came with the manuscript on how to make the car, or the prototype. Okay, I'm the one that's gonna make it and distribute it, not just now, but continuously.
Market it, tour
continuously. But then you're gonna come back to me because I drew up the idea, and I'm gonna get 85% because I came up with the idea.
Sure.
Which I get if you got money, but if you don't have money to even talk like that, but you gonna have me do all this labor for you and not get paid, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean it's like like owning a restaurant. You know what I mean? Like, are you gonna own a restaurant, be the hostess, be the janitor, be the bartender, be the cook, be the social media person, be the manager, be the bookkeeper, write the checks.
Exactly. So for the artist community out there, ask yourself,
you're gonna go crazy.
The question is, do you want to be famous, or do you just want to work on your music and just let that be your general thing?
If this is a restaurant, are you the chef?
Right.
Or are you the manager?
Because there's a lot of hats to wear.
What are you doing? Yeah.
And the reason why you go to the labels to do that is because at that moment in time, you don't have enough money to outsource that
or
management.
You wouldn't be talking to
or you
them.
wouldn't be going over there. You know what I'm saying? There. Now, when you got the money to do that, you can go and do that. But when you don't, you have to know, this is chess. It ain't checkers, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if you're playing for the long term. And that's why I respect, speaking to Uzi, speaking to everybody out there, that's why I respect any artist in the game that's still here and that's still proven to be innovative, because I'm telling you, the music industry is not, if you don't know it, they ain't going to tell you. Now, if you know it, if you know what you need to know, they can partner with you and assist with you. But if you don't know what's going on, nobody's going to tell you what's going on. And, for the long term, I respect all these artists in there, because you really have to be smart. Like, to be in the game and to keep going in the game. Oh no, like, you're not ready. You have to be smart. Like, even as dumb as
the people around you,
or the people around you,
either you yourself or the people around you.
Which is few. Few people have good people around them.
No, they have smart people. Good people, maybe not. Smart people. They have smart people with them, but good people.
Yeah, few people have smart. Not. Few people have really good, smart people around them. Right. But for the most part, if you don't know the game, ain't nobody gonna tell it to you. So the people that really are innovative in the game, they really got something a little different.
Yeah, I think that there's just an unfortunate reality where it's kind of like, I'm all about contributing to the culture and collaborating with people, doing these podcasts. I've recorded almost 350 of these fucking things. So it's like, this is I love meeting people, chopping it up with other artists, trying to figure this out. Because like, usually the people that come on here and want to sit down and talk for an hour about this shit are people that do care. They really care. And that's the kind of people that I want to be around, even if they're not on my team. You know what I mean? Like, we're not on each other's teams, but we're on a broad team of just being independent artists, just trying to do what we love.
Right.
So it's cool to just be around those people and surround myself with people that give a shit. So it's real easy to surround yourself with people that are just negative.
Right.
Yeah. You can get really caught in that bubble.
You wouldn't get nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, those bubbles do exist.
And that's why I think you want this process to be so authentic as you can, because if you don't have a certain program that you're running before everything's successful, when things get successful, it could get worse for you.
Yeah,
if you don't, it could get you could lose your mind. That's what artists do. You know, they lose their mind. I mean, you're speaking to people every day who don't treat you regularly. Like they treat you not as a person because they don't kind of see you as a person. So like if you're not, if you don't have a program together to combat that in some sort of way and prepare for that, then you can really have some issues. So that's the cool thing about kind of being in a group, because we are each other's support system, but also, you know, through our hard work efforts that we've had so far, because we've had to work probably a little bit more harder than maybe certain artists for other regions, because we don't live in the media capital city. So, you know, we have to kind of put in, you know, 3 to 4 times the work than if we were living in other places. And what that did to help us is now that when success does come, you know, we're not going to be too tempted to try to go cop a Ferrari. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to choose studio time or noodles. I chose studio time. I'm gonna keep doing it. Like it's like that's in my DNA. Like you know what I mean. So if you don't have that with you when the money comes, then you know it's gonna be you know you're probably not gonna be there for too long.
Yeah, it's everything is temporary. Nothing's permanent, and a lot of people. It's really easy, especially if, you know, you come from, you know, lower means, you know, like I grew up in Wilkinsburg. I didn't come from a whole lot. So like I very much, you know, I remember like the first time I got a job as a key manager at Blockbuster Video. I mean, this was like 2002. I was making like $7.50 an hour. But like I felt like my $7.50 an hour was like so much to me. You know, I remember my first paycheck going down to the waterfront, you know, buying myself some stuff from Marshall's because I thought I was like, you know, living it. But I still have that mentality because, you know, I understand it's like, you know, okay, maybe I have a couple stacks now. Great. I'd rather just have that forever in case some shit happens, or if I want to take my girl out, do something nice, that kind of simple shit. Like, what the fuck do I need all this? I mean, granted, we're sitting in a room with a bunch of dumb action figures and shit, but this is just things that I've accumulated. I've never like spent a lot of money on one thing. With the exception of music equipment and like this stuff, but I need this stuff. This is like, I love this stuff.
That mentality is very wealthy. That's a very wealthy mentality. It's really rich because that's how you keep your sanity. I don't want to be successful and go crazy. I want to keep my success and have my sanity. So, I mean, you know, it's something that, you know, you really have to work hard to do. And I'm glad that, you know, us making a lot of this work has pushed our mental buttons. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's taken us there, and we've had to practice to keep that sanity. So I feel like that's been a good thing because it's not going to get easier as it goes.
Once you start getting paid for it, oh my God.
It gets different. It gets different.
A wise man once said, "Mo money, mo problems."
Yes.
And I'll tell you this, dude, I mean, I've never had somebody throw $1 million at me. Who knows what the fuck I would do? I might end up with a roller coaster in my backyard. I have no idea. I really don't. It's really hard. You never know what would happen. It's real easy to be like, you know, I wouldn't go off the rails. But
it's hard. It's always easy to say what you wouldn't
because
do
also
in that situation.
when you put yourself in that environment, then we're talking about the people around you. The people that are around you are going to start to change and trying to control that environment around you. While people are like, "Yo, here, have this, do this."
Dave East just said he was like, man, I'm glad I got authentic relationships because he was like, before the pandemic, you think all those club owners were calling me just cause or calling me now? Hell no. They can't make no money off of me. They're not calling me now.
That's real.
Like they're not if they can't make no bread off you, they're not like calling you. They're not checking to make sure your health, your mental health. The club owner is not checking to see if your mental health is okay. Like, no. At all.
It's over for that.
Can you perform? We want songs.
Immediately.
We want songs and shows.
Immediately.
Now.
They die. Consumer wants the entertainment. I mean,
I've been like trying real hard. If I just think of someone, like if I'm like, doing nothing, like, oh man, I haven't thought of Nick in a minute. Just like shoot him a text, like, yo, how you been? Like really trying to check in with people recently, just because like, I don't know. I don't spend a whole lot of time on social media these days, aside from like, yo, here's a podcast, and I just like run away, you know, I'm not trying to like get lost in it.
Yeah,
but like, I don't know how anybody's doing.
Either,
I just don't know how anybody's doing. So, but it seems like a lot of people were just kind of in their own thing, but it's cool to check in with people. And
I feel like that's what makes AKCG again really, really different, is because, you know, we haven't been so like, you know, we're posting content. We post work up, and we're going to continue to post more work up, authentic work too. But you know, we want our work to speak for itself, and I think that's one of the things of people trying to figure out if we were from Pittsburgh or not, because we, you know, we're not yelling where we're from all like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you look at our album, our mixtape covers, you can see about our region, you know, some of the things that we speak about, some of our slang. It's in the music, but you know, we're not just like kind of shouting that we're from Pittsburgh like that. And not to say that
I go into the Overlook to yell it to the city.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And not to say that for artists that want to do that, go do that. Like, you know what I mean? We support that too.
Rep it
hard. You know what I'm saying?
Black and yellow.
You know, we're just the kind of artist that moves in this way. It just fits.
Yeah, I mean,
who we are. You know what I'm saying?
I love Pittsburgh. I grew up here. I'm not gonna write a song about it. You know, I love Permanis. I'm not writing a song about a double egg and cheese anytime soon. Right. Although maybe I should. That might be the one that pops off.
It might.
It just might.
It might be.
It's always the dumbest shit.
Yeah. It might.
It might
My life. Yeah, and I got the perfect person to throw on. I would throw on Nav Keen. He's a part of God. He's a part of our squad, and he just loves Permani, bro. He would give you the best verse ever in life if you did a song about that. We're gonna make that work. I'm gonna let you listen to some of his music too. I think you like his music.
We need to check Permani. We need to talk. We need to sit down, man. We can do a lot of things, man. Partnerships. Can we get a sandwich? If we can get an AKCG sandwich,
my life.
Holla.
Thanks. Let's get that in the works.
We can get that in the works.
I think we can get that in the works. Let's get that in the works.
Let's do that.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
That's real.
You know, a lot of people were always talking to me, and it's like, you know, I don't know how you do so much or how you have the time to do all this shit. And I'm like, it's two things. One, you know, I don't watch. Actually, no, I do still watch a lot of Netflix, but I just like, I just do shit. And the other thing too is I feel like maybe you guys can relate with this too. It's like, I'm putting out a lot of content, but just because I put out something this week doesn't mean I did it this week. You know, like I'm thinking now about like, I'm planning videos I'm not going to release for 4 or 5 months now. And just in this constant groove of like, you know, filming, editing, doing stuff behind the scenes. So it always looks like you're consistent.
That takes that you know your craft. And when you know your craft, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can just bounce in and out of it.
Now's the best time to be doing that, since there's really not any shows or anything. Like, stock up.
That's real.
Our studio, our engineer, he thought we were foolish for recording so much music that we did.
This is before quarantine.
This is before quarantine. And then he was like, wow, they might be geniuses, because we stay 6 to 8 months ahead of our like we always record. Like right now, we're 3 to 4 projects ahead. Like we're like in album mode, but we already got enough material for like 2-3 takes. We're dropping 2 more projects before the end of the year. So
November.
You know, so it's like, you know, when you stay 6 to 8 months ahead of your catalog, I feel like every artist.
And by the way, I got a name drop who that is. That's DJ Soy Sauce at Tough Sound Recordings.
White Jesus.
The White Jesus. The dude who said oh man, you know what? I think y'all doing too much. Because we used to come to the studio and on average, and I'm not even dramatizing this, I got witnesses. If somebody wants to pull him in here. But we would come in, we would go to a session, we do like a 3 to 4 hour block. And in that 3 to 4 hour block, we do like 12, maybe 14 songs or something along those lines. And then sometimes it's more, but it depends on the work speed of Soy. But Soy is actually very fast. So him being accustomed to, actually not even say accustomed to, he actually helped develop our sound. Our sound. Because we've been just recording exclusively with him for, he's been recording with him for a longer than me myself, but let's just say as AKCG 2016,
almost 4 years, about 4 years.
Yeah, as all 3 of us working on music, so we have a relationship where I don't have to say the mix initially of what I want. I would just go lay down a raw vocal, and then I might not have him mix it that day. He'll just send it to me a couple days later, and it'll sound almost near like exactly what I was thinking in my head, if not better. So that's why we leave room for the collaboration, because the one thing that he said with us was like, well, shit, y'all just want to do anything, so I'm just going to throw anything on y'all. That's how originally it started, because when we, like he said in the beginning, we wanted to experiment like with how we did music. Him coming from boom bap, and me prior was more so just on just street music, whatever locally type stuff, but also in a different way for how I made it. So we just made like a fusion, but without Soy, I don't know if that would have made sense, because the other engineers wouldn't have been as patient.
Yeah, so
to go through the process of like, I want to hear, to always be wanting to do something different, because it's always fun when you got somebody that wants to do that.
It's so important to find an engineer or a producer that actually gives a fuck about what you're doing. There's nothing that feels worse than being in a room with somebody that's, you're just, a couple fucking dollar bills to them, they're like, whatever, like click, click. Or also like working with people that understand the style of music that you want to do and can figure out like, oh, let's put, this cool effect on your vocal here. Let's do this with the beat. Let's drop this out. Like, they understand how the music works. I've had a lot of friends, especially not so much these days. There's a lot more people that actually have gear to record. But when I was starting, there wasn't all of this fucking Fruity Loops, and not everybody had Pro Tools and all this shit. So a lot of people would go
like that, the 8-track.
Yeah. a lot of people would go and record with like rock engineers. Yeah. And a lot of them just didn't understand how to like record the vocals properly. There'd always be this weird like reverby delay on it. Like, and it's like, this just doesn't sound right. And the people didn't give a shit about how it sounded, but it's cool now because there's a lot more people that understand how it works. And even artists themselves understand what they want. They have more of an ear for it.
Man, shout out to Ricardo Schultz at CMU. He runs the recording program at Carnegie Mellon. I went up there randomly. I was in the drama program at Carnegie Mellon in the pre-college program with Jill Wadsworth. But I came through with him, and I just walked in the studio one day. Like, they were teaching class. I just walked in one day, and he's a hipster. He's a hipster type of a person. But I walked in, and I was like, hey man, I was 17, 18. I was like, hey man, I just want to learn about recording or whatever. Yo, he said, listen, you could come into my class every day, like for free. Like, he said, just walk in, just come. Like, you could come sit down. Like, and I didn't come every day, but I just came. And then like when I just, seen the recording process, everything like that, he introduced me to a dude named, I don't know if you know DJ Therm.
That name sounds super familiar.
Yeah. He introduced me to him, and then
shout out Amos.
Therm introduced me to Soy. But it was the same process. Like, he didn't record as much hip hop as he did like just like acoustics and like guitar and like singing and things like that. Right. So he was like, man, you need to go to a hip hop like producer. He's like, I don't know where to take. He's like, I'm gonna just give you the Therm, like, see if you want to do it with him. Therm was super cool. He made hip hop beats, and he was just cool. And then he just put me to Soy Sauce, and the sauce got made, man.
That's what's up.
Sauce got made.
That's what's up. So I know the original idea here was we were gonna just kind of chat about a kid named God for a little bit, and then we were gonna get more into like some individual stuff. But we've been talking for like an hour. I feel like we touched on a lot of individualism and things like that anyways. So, but as we're rounding the corner here, we can shout out just where people can find you individually, where people can find you together. And if there's anything else that you just kind of want to throw out there before we wrap this all up.
Yeah. You can reach us at KidGawd, KIDGAUWD. And music's available everywhere.
Everywhere.
Never forget GAUWD.
Holla.
You could look us up on YouTube, Spotify, all that.
Yeah, man. Eat a lot of fruit. Get alkaline water in you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Ladies, do your thing. I'll be seeing you on Instagram. Keep doing your thing. Listen.
Facts.
Every time I see a beautiful woman on Instagram, I go off, I see another one. And then, like, the shit keeps going up.
It's so crazy.
Like, it doesn't stop.
I can't be on Instagram in public.
Oh, my goodness.
That's how crazy it is.
It's so crazy right now on Instagram.
Grab my phone. Like, I can't even grab my phone and just pull out right now and just go on Instagram. I promise you I can't. You'd have to bleep it.
Instagram.
You'd have to blur out my phone.
Keep doing it.
Because,
Keep doing it. Holla.
Yeah. Shout out to... Thanks, shout out to everybody on Instagram.
Shout out to Chinese Kitty too. Holla.
Yeah, he put a name on it. Yeah, shout out her.
Yeah, shout out Chinese Kitty, man. Holla.
You know what I mean? But yeah, facts. Yeah, definitely reach us on @KidGod at Instagram. You know, we don't really do too much of the Twitter and all these other different things, even though we have them. You know, we're primarily on Instagram.
Instagram for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Word. Well, with that being said, I'm gonna do my outro.
Do that, John.
Spit that fire.
And that is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. One more time. A kid named God. Thank you for being here.
Holla.
Good hanging out. I'll be back again in a couple days with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat 2020. Thanks for listening. And we're done. That's it. That's a podcast.
That is a podcast.
Thanks,
We
y'all.
out here. We out here. We out here.